All right. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And this is going to be my live open spoiler discussion for the premiere episode for The Mandalorian. Now, I have watched this episode. I watched it really early this morning around 4 o'clock, like I said I was going to. I was a little bummed out because I realized that they had pushed out Disney Plus a little earlier, more at like 11 o'clock. So I didn't have to necessarily go to bed early or wake up early, but I watched it at 4 o'clock, and I got to say it was worth it. It really was worth it. Now I'm going to dissect first my overall thoughts, how I felt about the episode, and if it really lived up to my expectations. So I've only watched it once. I am going to watch it again. I'm hoping to watch it again maybe tonight. My wife has still yet to see it, so hopefully I can watch it with her very soon. But I thought this episode was great. I really enjoyed it because this really brought back to me a sense of this is Star Wars. It really gave me that identity of something that truly is set in the Star Wars universe. Now, the things I really loved about it, it's very cinematic. Watching this episode of television, I thought to myself, I was like, man, this feels like it's a movie. And just the way it was shot, the way the way that the final product looked on screen, the way that certain shots were composed, and the way that the characters are on screen, it felt very cinematic in nature and in scope to me. And that was something that I felt was truly awesome from this, because I expected this to be a show that really brought you into the Star Wars world, but I wasn't expecting it to really have that cinematic feel to it. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. Another thing I really liked about it, I love that this episode, it really takes seconds to really get into the story, to get into the nitty-gritty of these characters. And it really starts off on a bang. The action is great. It's really great. It feels like a western shot within the Star Wars universe. Now, some people might not like that ultimately, but I truly enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of refreshing, and it really made me look back at a movie like Solo, which tried to go for that western feel and just didn't really deliver as much as I was hoping it would. Another thing I really liked about it is that the show kind of gives you a look at what the stakes could be moving forward. It gives you a really good setup. This is a great pilot episode of television because it doesn't give you too much, but it just gives you enough to really kind of bait you, to kind of put that bobber on the line, and you're hoping that you can catch something within the next episode. And it really draws a lot of attention to the next episode, because that's all I've been hearing about. A lot of people saying, even people that maybe weren't so high on it, saying, I cannot wait for the next episode, because this show does a great job of really capturing you in and letting you have this experience with this character. And it does a really good job of world building and setting up the galaxy to be a lot bigger than what we've seen it so far within the films or within the other television shows. Another thing I really like, I like some of the characters. I like Nick Nolte's character. He is awkwardly introduced, I will say, in a kind of almost a little cartoony fashion. But I really am fascinated by the character of the Mandalorian. I'm very fascinated by the character that was portrayed by Nick Nolte. I thought IG-11 was awesome. Taika Waititi's droid in the episode was great. And the end, I don't want to get too much into details, but the end really has me excited because they introduce a character that I didn't expect really a lot. And I'll go into spoilers and stuff like that. But I kind of want to for those people who are watching this who maybe have not watched the episode, just kind of want my overall thoughts. I want to give my non-spoiler overall thoughts first. Now, those are things that I really loved about it. One last thing I want to include in things that I love about it is that I love that you could feel that there was truly passion behind this project. You feel like you're in the world that Jon Favreau kind of has seen in his entire life growing up as a fan of Star Wars. And it was really cool. Me being a huge fan of Star Wars, it was awesome to see something that really reminded me of old school Star Wars. I'm talking original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. I really felt like I was in that era again of greatness within the Star Wars franchise. And I felt that Jon Favreau wanted to bring that to us because he's so passionate about that era within this amazing and everlasting franchise. Now, let me get into the things I didn't like. It was awesome. I loved this episode. There are things I did not like. And you know, I'm a Star Wars fan. I can't think that everything is perfect because it's not. But the first thing that I did not like was the character they introduced in the beginning of the episode, the bounty that the Mandalorian goes to capture. That character was absolutely annoying. He felt like a cartoon character. He was so annoying, and I got really fed up with him every moment that he was on screen. He wasn't on screen a lot, but you really felt when he was on screen because every time he tried to make some type of joke and some just kind of stupid comment, and it just didn't really go anywhere, and it just really kind of got to be a little schlocky a bit. And I don't know if that was Dave Filoni because obviously the Star Wars animated universe is kind of his thing, so I don't know if that was kind of him saying, I want to kind of bring a character that's a little bit more easygoing, a little bit kind of schlocky and just a really animated character, but it didn't work. I hated the character. I thought he was really annoying. Luckily, he's not in it very long. So that was the first issue I had. The second issue I had, Dave Filoni. I love him. I love Dave Filoni. You gotta appreciate his fandom. You gotta appreciate the animated side that he has brought to Lucasfilm. But you could definitely tell that this was directed by a first-time director. There are moments that are really good that I feel like he used his assistant directors. He used even maybe, Favreau kind of guiding him, shepherding him along a little bit, maybe even talking to Kathleen Kennedy, putting certain things in sequence that really felt good. And the one thing he does a really good job of is creating a cinematic atmosphere. But my biggest problem is there are so many times throughout this episode where I just felt like I was kind of watching an animated episode or an animated show. It gets a little too robust, maybe a little too kind of shiny. And when you're trying to do something like this, you're working with real actors. You can't do what you do in an animated sense, because in an animated sense, you can make the characters do physically whatever you want. In a real film setting like this, in a live action setting, you don't have that opportunity. So I could tell that there were some things that they tried to go for that just on a directing standpoint didn't quite add up, didn't make sense. So I could definitely tell that Dave Filoni was a first-time director in the live action department. It really stuck out like a sore thumb. I don't understand why he directed the first episode. I think that it should have gone to maybe Favreau or someone of a higher caliber, and then maybe have Filoni kind of direct some episodes in the middle. Or even if he wants, maybe even this season finale, after kind of watching other directors direct episodes. And maybe the next episode he directs, it'll be a little bit better. But I felt like it was just too schlocky, and it really felt like someone who has never directed a live action feature or anything live action was really had their hand in this project or in this episode. There's also one transition that's kind of odd, and it's very noticeable. I've seen a lot of people talking about it on Twitter and on the social sphere, and I do agree. It's a little awkward and a little weird, especially for something dealing in the Star Wars universe, because we're used to how the Star Wars um, connection and the connective tissue in between films and the way that they have their kind of like own identity in terms of transitions and things like that. There's that one transition in the middle there is a little it's a little awkward. Numanoid the gamer, hello. Thank you so much for coming on. Drunk 3PO. Yeah, I agree, man. It was awesome. I really enjoyed the first episode and looking forward to more. So the last negative thing for me about this episode is it was short. It really was short. I was expecting this to be an hour, and when you click play on Disney Play, I mean, same with Netflix or whatever, it'll have like the option to pause and everything like that will come up, and it will have the runtime. I didn't even look at it, and when the episode ended, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that was fast. That was a crisp 35 minutes. And it breezed by like that, which it makes for really good television, but it's to me it was just a little too quick, and I wish that they would have held on a little bit longer and given us a little bit more. Maybe that will change in the next episode, but I really thought for the groundwork of the show and building out the fact that this is the premiere episode for this pilot, I was expecting a little bit more. And so when it ended, I was very shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wow, that was interesting. And at times the episode did feel a little animated, a little cartoonish, like I have said. But honestly, guys, I really enjoyed this episode of The Mandalorian. I'm so excited for episode 2, which we get on Friday. Can you believe that? That's amazing. It's gonna be awesome, and I really think that they have a great direction that they want to take this moving forward, and you could definitely feel the passion from both Filoni and from Favreau. Numanoid the gamer, wait, would you recommend getting Disney Plus for this show? Yes, absolutely, Numanoid. I don't know, Numanoid, have you not watched the episode? Because honestly, like, you're talking to a Star Wars guy here. Star Wars is my thing. Marvel, I love Marvel, I love Pixar, all that stuff. But honestly, Star Wars is my thing, and Star Wars is the thing that I would pay $15 to $20. Literally, if it was just this show, I'd pay that just to watch it. It's so worth it, in my opinion. No, really, you have not watched the episode. That's going to be interesting. So Numanoid, I'm actually going to get into some spoiler territory. I want to start off talking about non-spoiler stuff. I recommend, if you're interested in watching the show, I would kind of move out of this video. But do me a favor, Numanoid, if you do leave, give me a like down below on the video. After you watch the episode, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, dude, because I really want to know what you guys think about this episode. Also, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of Star Wars stuff. I have a bunch of Star Wars content coming out. I will have a Rogue One review coming within the coming days. I will also have a New Hope review, hopefully out this weekend. Which that's one thing on Disney Plus, Numanoid. Let me just say this real quick. This is Oh, by the way, before you leave, let me just tell you this one last thing. Another thing that I would do, if you're getting Disney Plus, if you get Disney Plus, every single Star Wars movie is on 4K. It has 4K Dolby Atmos vision, which is amazing. So like, it, to me alone, like, that is worth it. So that's something that you should consider, Numanoid. And thank you so much, Numanoid, for coming on here. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you weren't going to get spoiled, because there are spoilers in this first episode, and I don't want anybody to be spoiled, because I know I don't like being spoiled, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody else. But I do want to talk about my open thoughts on the first episode of The Mandalorian and be able to talk about the spoilers. So I'm going to give you a second. I'll let you, get off. If you want to, say one last thing or two, go for it. And I guess I can maybe talk about something else for a second. Let me talk about the the expectations. I'm not going to get into spoilers with my expectations. So if you're here again and you're trying to listen to my review, I wanted to give my non-spoiler review at the beginning. Then I want to get into more spoilery territory and kind of have open thoughts about it. I'm also trying to make sure my wife doesn't hear anything because she has not watched the episode. Yeah, we'll see how much in spoilers I get. But let me talk about expectations. I was highly anticipating this show. I've been highly anticipating it. It's probably my favorite Star Wars thing that has been coming out since, oh man, since they announced The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi, I like The Last Jedi for the most part, but I definitely cannot turn a blind eye. There are major problems with that film, and every time, the more and more I watch it, the less and less I like it. But my expectations for this show were really high, and my expectations for episode 9 not as high, probably because I'm really excited for episode 9. Believe me, I mean, you're never gonna get me to not ever be excited for a Star Wars film. But this show, when I watched the trailer, it reminded me of why I love Star Wars. And it's not about the lightsabers, and it's not necessarily about the wars in space, even though that really is Star Wars, and I want more of that, dang it. But the reason why I love Star Wars is because it is about the characters, and it's about the world building, telling a simple story, but in a context of a broken down society where people are kind of downtrodden and they really just have the worst of it. And that's what really drew me into Star Wars. I started off watching the original trilogy, and to me it's the greatest trilogy ever made. And that's just how it is. But this show, when I watched the trailer for it, I literally thought, wow, this is vintage Star Wars. This is what Star Wars should be. And it should never separate from that. And it feels like Star Wars has kind of become more of either a nostalgic thing, a fan service thing, a theoretical thing. And you could even probably say it's become kind of toxic in terms of the fandom and in terms of the community. But this show got me back completely in love with Star Wars. And I loved Rogue One. Rogue One, to me, is the best movie that Disney has produced. It still is the best thing Disney's produced so far because we have not watched the entire season of The Mandalorian. But I have really, really, really strong feelings that this show is really going to deliver. And the first episode alone, I mean, it really sets you in to what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to build upon. And I just think it's so great. So my expectations were very high. Did it meet my expectations? Maybe not necessarily. It probably missed a little bit, but without honestly, without saying that, or with saying that, honestly, it doesn't change my feelings. This is a great episode of television, and I really enjoyed it. So now let's get into a little bit of the spoilers. Now I'm gonna try to do my best at adhering to away from certain things. Again, I have someone in this house with me that has not watched this show. I have been really trying to get her to watch it, but she's been busy with schoolwork and things like that. So I do not want to ruin certain aspects for her. I do want to talk about the character that is played by Werner Herzog, because this is a very interesting character, because they bring him in essentially, and he's kind of like the mediator. He's a guy who's going to pay the Mandalorian to bring in this asset, dead or alive, preferably alive because he'll get more money. Now, Werner Herzog is an incredible actor. I think there's something about him that really creeps me out. I don't know what it is, but seeing him on screen, I was like, that dude's scary. And I think that he really is going to turn into the villain, especially with what they show at the end of the episode. I really think he's going to turn into the villain because I think the Mandalorian is going to go against him and ultimately, try to protect this asset. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this dynamic plays out, because Werner Herzog, he's not in it much in this first episode, but I feel like he's going to be very, very much in the lead, in the forefront of this um of this season of The Mandalorian, because I do think that it's going to revolve around him not getting the asset that he was going to pay the Mandalorian for. And I'm really interested, because the cool thing about this show is that they show that after the fall of the Empire, everything is in chaos. That's one thing that really drew me in, is that this is after the fall of the Empire. So this is the wild, wild west in the Star Wars universe, which I think is absolutely freaking awesome. It's so awesome. And the cool thing about it is that these bounty hunters, they don't get paid a lot of money. They don't make really anything. And there's a lot of currency that just is not fluid as much as others in this setting. And I think that's really interesting. It's really cool, because it shows that the Empire, although it was, a terror, and it really, put down a lot of people. They did horrible things. They murdered millions of people in the galaxy. And they were basically, they were, a communist group of beings. It shows when you don't have structure, or like a foundation in the structure of government or of a society, there's really no hope. And it really paints that picture when you also look at the way that this episode was edited, and especially the effect that they had in terms of the film and the picture, because they used a very dirty and very kind of dark tint to the actual picture of the episode. And I thought that was really interesting, because it shows that when you don't have a structure and you don't have a society that can put things in motion to have a successful government or a successful body of people, this is what you get. You get people just kind of doing bounties and not making a lot of money, but having to kind of survive based on the fact that, anything that was kind of back in the day you'd make a killing on, there is no money to be had. Everyone is kind of poor in a sense. And so bringing on this character of Werner Herzog, who is rich and can give the Mandalorian all of this, all these credits that can be used by the Mandalorians to, create, whether it be certain pads of honor on their shoulder, on their armory, whether it's helping out other people in their surrounding civilization. That really says a lot, because it really makes you wonder, who was this person before, and how is he connected or kind of somehow stitched by the shambled empire. So it's really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with his character, because they really introduced him. He's not on screen a lot, really. He's in one scene, but it's very effective, because you're kind of left with that wonderment of trying to discover who this person was and how this person kind of became to where they are now. And so I think that's just so interesting to me. I think the scene where the Mandalorian goes to, who knows the planet. They don't ever tell you really the planet names, which I wish that they also did that, to kind of give us a little context of where, the characters are. But he's on this, it's the last planet he goes to and visits. And some people probably know it better than I would, but he is there, and there's these, huge, massive creatures. I am terrible with names. I remembered what it was. Let me check real quick. It is. What are those things called? I think they start with like an L, I think. If anybody knows in the comment section, let me know down below. I know, like, I remember hearing what it was, and I remember, like, for like a few hours I could recite what it was, but honestly, like, my mind is kind of gone, so I don't necessarily remember all that well. But anyway, he gets on, this creature kind of comes and starts attacking him. And you get Nick Nolte's character who comes in, and he has an awesome line, by the way, when he says, "I have spoken." That was so cool. After he has kind of like that Yoda verbiage where, after he says something, he says, "I have spoken." I thought that was awesome because it really showed that it kind of gave you a little nod to, like, you remember, how Yoda would kind of use verbiage in a weird way. Well, this guy, he's going to use some verbiage in a very weird way, and you're really going to enjoy it. But I did think that the scene with him trying to ride one of the creatures on that planet was just absolutely nonsensical. It made zero sense, and it was very cartoony. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Anakin in Attack of the Clones. Um, that scene with Padme when he's riding again on a creature that's very similar to that one, and he's he's kind of riding down the hill. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I don't know. Things like that kind of bother me a little bit. There's some stupid gags and jokes that they do in this episode that I didn't necessarily like, and whether that be, you have the annoying guy from the beginning who goes down in the ship to go to the bathroom per se, and he looks at the toilet, he's like, "Oh, there it is, that's the toilet." It's like, well, no, duh. And it's like they're almost trying to appease a certain group in the audience, which is, children and kids. And I just don't like that aspect of it. But honestly, though, I really did like all of that stuff after that on that planet, because that's when you meet IG-11. You get to see kind of more action in this film. You get to see that a group of these people are protecting the asset, and we don't know what the asset is until he actually goes in to this, little house structure, and you get to see what the asset is, and the asset really blew my mind. I'm not gonna lie, I was literally like, what? And it left me in shock because I didn't think they were going to go in a direction like that. I really didn't think that it was going to be that significant in the first episode, because usually in a pilot episode, you want something to kind of happen. You want a spark, for that bait. But to give us something like that was so monumental and so huge to Star Wars canon, Star Wars lore. I'm not just talking about The Mandalorian. I'm talking about years and years of theories and years of, books, comic books, episodic writings, things of that nature. And to see that come to life, like literally them kind of showing us, here's a little something. This is going to be very familiar to you. That shocked me. I could not believe that they went that direction. I'm happy that they did. And that last shot in particular, one of the most beautiful shots of Star Wars that I can remember in the Disney era. I just thought it was such a beautiful shot. And again, I want to get into spoilers about what the asset is. I can't, though. And the reason why is, again, my wife has not seen this episode yet. She's in the other room. These are very thin walls, and I do not want her to know. I really don't. I want her to be surprised because I think she's really going to enjoy it. And so it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to seeing what her reaction is going to be. So that's why I'm not going into specifics on what the asset is. But if you guys have seen it, and you've seen it because you're continuing to watch this review, you know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to say what the asset is. You know what the asset is. So that was shocking to me. It was very shocking, and that's really how it ended. I mean, there's not a lot of filter. Really, I mean, they set the groundwork at the beginning, showing the Mandalorian. He's there to pick up a bounty. He gets his bounty, and we get him venturing off and meeting with Werner Herzog and getting another assignment to get this huge asset and a very important asset. And when you see the asset, you're like, yep, that's an important asset. Yep, I can understand why he's worth so much money. But there's no freaking way that I would turn over this asset. There's just no way. You couldn't at that point. And so it's going to be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to the next episode, because this shows that they have a groundwork of they're going to do something that's special. They're going to shock us, and they're not afraid to do something that is a little heavy-handed. And by doing this at the end with this asset, again, for those of you who are just joining, I'm not getting into specifics of what the asset is, because my wife has not watched the episode, and she's right there. Honestly, it really shows that they have a great understanding of what they want to accomplish and what they want to do. And I'm really excited for the next episode. I cannot wait. Friday just can't get here soon enough. Was this a perfect episode of The Mandalorian? No. Is it everything I hoped it would be? No. Was any of my theories of how the show is going to play out right? No. And I'm happy about that. I really am, because now that we've watched the first episode, we can really dig down deep and theorize about what could happen for the future. Now, I'm going to do a separate video. So I'm not going to do my theories here, but I will be doing a separate video every single week after the newest episode of theories of what could happen on the next episode. Now, episode 2 drops on Friday. So I will be doing my theories video on Thursday before episode 2 drops at midnight. I'll be watching the episode on midnight, and I'll also probably watch it again like Friday afternoon or maybe even Friday evening, and I'll do another live stream. Hopefully I'll do it a little earlier next time. But honestly, guys, I really enjoyed this episode of The Mandalorian. I thought it was a really good start to the series, and it was a great opportunity for them to bring us into this environment, establish these characters, establish the era and the time period at which this all takes place. And they did a really good job of doing that. And honestly, I'm very satisfied with what we ended up getting. Again, the ending floored me. I had no idea that was coming. And when it ended, I was sad because it felt very quick. And I wish that they would have done a little bit more. But, you know, if this is what we got in the 35 minutes, then I'm happy about it. If they had something longer, but it was just a lot of filler and it didn't necessarily serve a purpose to the overall narrative, then, you know, it should be cut. So I can't complain too much. I'm just going to, have to go back and rewatch this episode again, but I absolutely enjoyed it. And I really loved it. I thought it was great. I've been trying to get all my friends to get Disney Plus and watch The Mandalorian. And, honestly, this is Star Wars. Star Wars is back, and we have a month and a half of just Star Wars. Mandalorian, Jedi Fallen Order comes out on Friday, the new game. And then we have episode 9. So this is the perfect time to be a Star Wars fan. I am living right now in the best time, honestly, to be a Star Wars fan. I mean, this is so exciting. I cannot believe that Disney Plus launched today, that I finally got to watch The Mandalorian, which has been my most anticipated show for like a year and a half now, ever since they announced it. And I just really am looking forward to the future of what they could do within the Star Wars universe if they continue to have stories like this. And I would also like to I'd like to see stories that, are very unfamiliar, because even though this is a new story, new cast of characters, after the fall of the Empire, it still does feel very very familiar. And that is because, you get those little nods, you get those little kind of fan service moments of, okay, this is how this ties into episode 4. This is how this ties into the prequels. And, I wish that we just kind of got a show that was just its own thing, that really stood up on its own, is a different time period. And it's something that, stands up for literally its own tentpole and its own flagship of what it tries to accomplish and kind of put out there. So, but I'm not going to complain. I love this. I love The Mandalorian. I love the first episode. A few issues here and there with, it feeling a little too animated at times, and the Dave Filoni directing, was very spotty, and the first character that he collects as the bounty was super annoying. Other than those things, this is a great episode of television, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do moving forward. And another thing, let me just say another thing real quick, because I kind of just got this to my mind, guys. I don't have look, guys, I don't have like any, note or anything like that. I don't have any paper. I just go off the top of my head. And that's the way I do my videos. And I want to be open and honest. But an interesting thing is I was expecting IG-11 to be more prevalent in the series, to be kind of a lead, and he's immediately gone in the first episode. So I didn't expect that. I don't know if they're going to bring on other droids of that magnitude and maybe other IG-11s. But honestly, like, I thought it was cool, the fact that we get a droid that can do some amazing things. He's an assassin. And he's voiced by Taika Waititi, and you could tell that he's voiced by Taika Waititi because his voice definitely stands out there. As somebody that you've heard, what being, as Korg in Thor Ragnarok. I mean, Taika Waititi he's so spunky and out there, and I'm looking forward to more episodes. Honestly, I just wonder what they're going to do with IG-11, because I thought he was going to be more of a heavy character in this series, but it doesn't look like they're going to go that route. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll bring in more IG-11s. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's my live review of The Mandalorian. I'm going to get to your guys' comments. I've kind of dropped out of Star Wars since Last Jedi. Yeah, a lot of people have. Honestly, I like Last Jedi. There are issues. I'm not gonna put my head in the sand. There are major issues with that film, or major problems that the film has. But I like more of the good stuff, and that to me is what kind of outweighs the way that I view that movie. But the more and more I watch it, the more irritated I get by it, for sure. I subscribed by Comrade. Thank you so much, Numanoid. That means a lot to me. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this review. Next time I'll try to make it sometime earlier. I know, a lot of people are, either sleeping or, maybe even they're exploring Disney Plus. I don't know. But next time I will definitely try to make a video a lot sooner and earlier. I also told you guys I was going to do a Shining review. I'm still going to do that. Not tonight, though. That will probably be either tomorrow or Thursday, because I do want to get my Rogue One review out there first. And yeah, the Shining review, I've had so many issues with that review that I just kind of, I don't know, I've kind of been putting it off, but I think just the sooner I get it out there, the better. It is going to be a video that you're not going to see my face at all, because the entire time I shot it, it was out of focus, which sucks because I only found out after the fact. And yeah, other than that, this week I'm going to have a lot of content coming. Rogue One review with Clayton, that'll be up tomorrow. We got the Shining review, which will be up on Thursday. We also have my predictions video for episode 2 of The Mandalorian. We have Ford v Ferrari. I'm going to go see that this weekend. I'll do a review of that. And I'm also going to go see one other film, and it's down to Charlie's Angels and The Good Liar. To me, I'm leaning more towards The Good Liar. I just really don't care about Charlie's Angels, to be honest. I just really don't. And so I'm leaning more towards The Good Liar, but I don't want to go and see all 3 movies this weekend. I just really don't. And I just have other things that I'd rather get done. I'll also be doing a Mandalorian episode 2 review, and yeah, and then I'm also going to be doing a New Hope review will be out as well this weekend. So a lot of stuff coming on this channel. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so right down below. Now is the time to be a part of this community, because guys, we have a lot of fun. Talking about Star Wars is great. There's going to be a lot more Star Wars to talk about, because I have a lot of movies. I have Rogue One and then the rest of the saga to go. And I'm also thinking about reviewing the Clone Wars movie, which I don't know if I want to, but it's a theatrically released film. And that'll probably be after all of the, live action theatrically released movies. And I'm up to Rogue One. So hopefully I can get Rogue One done, and then episode 8 leading to episode 9, which would be great. And then, yeah, so there's going to be a lot of Star Wars content, whether it's The Mandalorian, whether it's talking about uh, the reviews for the original trilogy or the new trilogy, and also I'm going to do more videos moving towards the Rise of Skywalker, because honestly, guys, Star Wars is my life. This is why I started my channel. The first video I ever made was talking about the Solo trailer, and Star Wars is my favorite franchise ever, and it will never be beaten. I love Star Wars so much. I really get into the lore. I get into everything. I just started watching Rebels now that it's on Disney Plus, and so hopefully I can also maybe do a review of that series as well in the future. So a lot of stuff coming, guys, on this channel, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. Make sure you subscribe. I'm also, again, every single Monday night, I have my new show, That's a Wrap, where I talk about the latest movie news of that week, also review some smaller movies that I saw throughout the week that are new releases, and I also, will answer your guys' questions and so on and so forth. So that will be Monday. Right now I don't have a specific time yet, but it's going to be in the evening, probably around 6, maybe 7 Pacific Standard Time or Mountain Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, 8 o'clock ish. If you're, in California, 5 o'clock ish. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, Nick __ Acosta. That's where you guys can kind of get all of the recent updates from me and kind of what's going on in my life, whether it be I can tell you guys about certain videos I'm going to be publishing, or it's just maybe me talking about movies and baseball. I talk a lot about the Yankees and baseball because I'm a huge baseball fan. If I didn't do a movie channel, I'd be doing a baseball channel. But I want to talk about movies. That's what I love, and that's what I want to talk about. And also, make sure you guys follow me on Letterboxd. And my Letterboxd is very, very simple, guys. It is down below if you can't see it, but it is letterboxd.com/Nicholas Acosta, and it's capital N, capital A for Nicholas and Acosta. So yeah, go follow me on Letterboxd. I post a lot of other reviews on there. Like I just did a review for Inside Llewyn Davis, Fantastic Mr. Fox for my Criterion series I'm kind of doing on Letterboxd. I've also posted reviews for smaller movies, and these smaller movies can be anything from hold on, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to do like 3 things at once. It could be anything from Abominable, In the Tall Grass, anything like that, Between Two Ferns, the movie. So if you're really interested in all like the small details of the things that I review, because I pretty much almost review every movie that I watch, definitely go follow me on Letterboxd, guys. And thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you for being Star Wars fans, and may the Force be with you.